Welcome back. Joseph Kabila will be sworn in today as Congo's first freely elected president in more than 4 decades. He faces a huge task to satisfy popular expectations after years of war, dictatorship, and chaos. Well, joining us now to talk about the challenges ahead is Dapo Oyewole. He is the executive director of the Center for African Policy and Peace Strategy, or CAPS. Thank you very much for being here, Dapo. Appreciate you being here. Is Joseph Kabila up for the job?
Well, I think if you really look at the contenders on the ground, I think he's definitely the better person to take up the mantle and the challenge of trying to reconstruct Congo, a country that has been in conflict ever since 1965, more or less. And I think the challenges for him are really formidable. First of all, he has to unite the country. As the elections clearly indicate, a lot of the people that voted for him actually from the east, and whilst a lot of people that voted for Bemba were from the west, and he still needs to reunite those people. On the second hand is the issue of demobilizing and demilitarizing about 300,000 combatants who are armed militia groups. How do you go about ensuring that they're actually integrated into a national army, or actually demobilized and given alternative sources?
It's almost as if he has to start from scratch, like rebuilding or building a country up again. Granted, I think one of the main things any country has to deal with is trying to build a strong economy, because when people are fed and when people have jobs to go to, they are much happier people. And that's what he has to almost deal with. Granted, it's war-torn, but it is resource-rich.
Absolutely. Monita, this reminds me very much of the conversation we had about Liberia when the president was being elected. And yes, he really has to start from scratch. Now, you spoke about infrastructure and economic development. I mean, we need to put this in context. Congo is about 2/3 of Western Europe, but has only about 900 miles of paved roads. Now, in an environment whereby it's a potentially rich country, it has about 300% of the world's diamond reserves. It is the second largest producer of coltan, which is what is used in our mobile phones. It's got oil, it's got gold. Now, it's very rich, but you need the infrastructure to be able to exploit that effectively and to be able to create the mechanism for economic activity to take place.
And that comes in investor confidence and investor trust in the security, not only the political infrastructure, but the security of the country, which is a huge problem.
Absolutely, but you see, the other problem also is the effective distribution of the wealth that is generated from that. And, you know, in many conflicts across the continent that are focused on, or that are triggered by natural resources, it's always about the issue of how do you distribute that wealth in such a way that it alleviates the poverty and meets the needs of the largest majority, or as many of the people as possible.
So it's obvious he can't do this by himself. I mean, he is only one man. What about international help? Is he going to be looking to not only just leaders from within the continent itself, but abroad as well?
I think one thing Joseph Kabila has is that he does have that international backing, and he does have the backing of many of the African leaders within the continent. And I think that puts him in a very good political position to be able to raise the kind of international support. The EU is about to give some additional aid to Congo. And I think even before the elections, promises had been made that if these elections are smooth, if we ensure that there's no fraud, and we ensure that we have one government and one president that can actually bring the country back to where it's supposed to be, then the international community would support. And I think Joseph Kabila, he's got the finesse, he's got the ability to mobilize the kind of support internationally and within the continent. But the issue still remains, how does he reunite the different views and perspectives within his own country?
All right, Dapo, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for being with us, and we appreciate you coming in on your wedding anniversary. Your wife is very, very, very understanding indeed.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up next here on CNN Today, football fans in Barcelona are breathing a little bit easier.
The Catalan side is safely through to the knockout stage of the Champions League. Candy Reid has that story and the rest of the world sport headlines after this break.